Hello, everyone. I hope we're live. Welcome to MakerCast, episode 15, I think we are. That is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
So, for all of you that are joining, this episode 15, I think we are. Oh, who was that?
It's going to be bitluni.
No.
If there was just somebody like, yeah,
Every time
said like something about headphones or stuff. I mean,
This Discord, someone's Discord is playing.
Somebody like, yeah, said like something about headphones or stuff. He's making a good point.
Who is it? Is it gone?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Who was it? Put your hand up.
I muted myself, but I think it was still going.
What a classic. Okay. Is that
I learned my lesson.
third or
I
fourth
learned
time in a
Headphones
row
was-
that's
wasn't
happened?
me. I'm sorry.
Who was it?
Who was it? Doesn't matter. Hey, everyone. So, welcome to MakerCast 15. Let's do a round robin, introduce everyone. Let's start with bitluni.
Hello, I'm bitluni from bitluni's lab, and I do YouTube maker stuff. So electronics and electric propulsion, solar, sensors, Wi-Fi modules, and MIDI devices. So and synthesizers and stuff like that.
Okay, so not much. Cool. Welcome, bleeptrack.
Hi, nice to meet you. I'm bleeptrack. I do a lot of stuff in the border of technology and arts and have a lot of fun in experimenting with different machines like CNC mills and 3D printing and laser cutters and so on. And I do also a video series like about every 2 or 3 weeks where I document all my projects.
Awesome. Mr. David Watts.
Hello, everyone. I do little electronics projects on YouTube under the name David Watts. Mostly at the moment, it's CMOS related stuff. So those are old chips from the 1970s or something. So I play with those a lot. And I do some other stuff. There's quite a few things behind me. I've set up like a little display of my old projects. So yeah, that's me.
Cool. Timon.
Hi, I'm Timon, or timonsku. I'm mostly on Twitter. I upload sometimes to YouTube, but yeah, I stick mostly to Twitter, and I post about hardware and the stuff I do. And my biggest project in recent years was the damn Linux tablet, which I'm still working on, but it's a bit on hold. So I've been more doing classic maker hacking stuff in the recent months.
Awesome. Mr. Dave Darko.
Yeah, so I'm Dave. Call myself Dave Darko on the internet, and I like to 3D print things that are, yeah, sometimes very complex. And I mainly work for Element 14 Presents again. Yeah, and do wild projects with them.
Wild projects.
It's wild. The one I'm talking about is gonna be wild. But yeah.
Sorry, 1 second. My USB cable fell out, as it does. Oh, USB.
Is it?
There we go.
Is it an important cable?
Yeah, it's hitting my coffee, which is very important. Because, yeah. Okay, and I am Seon, the unexpected maker, and obviously you're here at my channel, so you must know who I am. And I also design and build electronics and play with 3D printers and laser cutters and all sorts of makery stuff. Cool. So that's the intros out of the way. What has everyone been working on? Who wants to go first? Who's got stuff to show? Who wants to volunteer?
I'll volunteer.
Awesome.
Yay.
Take it away.
Okay, so I said in the intro that I work with CMOS devices. And I mainly say that because I completely forget every other project I've ever done. But right in front of me here, and I'll move the camera, but you might want to make it full screen in a second, Seon, so I can show off this terrible mess of wires. So what I'll do is I'm just going to put my hand over the camera so you can't see me move it, because otherwise people get seasick. So that is the thing that I've been working on.
Wow.
Now, let's see if we can just sort of, hang on.
Don't move it. The wires will fall out.
They absolutely, oh, Jesus. They absolutely will. Like this breadboard thing is not very good for the ground signal, but essentially we've got a clock here. It's so hard to see. Let's see if I can't move. No, I can't. I give up. But essentially we've got a clock. So the hours are over here. So, I mean, the time isn't right. I haven't actually made a way of setting the time. But it's being driven by a 1 kilohertz signal, which is being generated over here on a 4060 with a 4.096 megahertz crystal oscillator. And it's going through all these 4026, CD 4026, which is a 7-segment LED driver. And also down here, we've got some logic. So we've got a 4073, which is a quad 4-input AND gate, or triple input AND gate rather, and a 4017, which is a decade counter. Those are rookie numbers. And that decade counter there is just dividing the 1 kilohertz down to 100 hertz, so dividing it by 10. So that means that I can turn off and on the clock here, and you'll see we've got the, what is that? Milliseconds and microseconds? Is that what that is there? I think that's right. Oh no, milliseconds, but that's the 100 milliseconds, and that's the tens of milliseconds. So essentially it can be a clock, but also a stopwatch, just with that thing there. Now, this is all pretty, Johnny says, why don't you use a 555? Blooming heck. Okay, so essentially,
Sorry, David.
Hate you. Absolutely hate you. So essentially, this is a real janky setup. So we've got wires flying all over the place, and some of these are clock signals. So running at like 4 megahertz, this clock over here, and it's fairly compact. But when we're getting over here, we're only in the like 1,000 kilohertz range and below. So these little wires aren't really posing a problem. So I know people worry about these being unintentional antennas, and they absolutely are. If I wasn't grounding the clock properly, then or pulling the clock low, so it would just be floating over here when I turn it on and off, then that clock would just move, would continue going. This would clock this chip here just by moving my hand near it. So this isn't ideal, but it's the best way that I can do it to visualize how this is all going to be laid out. So the next step is to make a PCB, and I've started doing that. All right, I'm just going to cover you up again so that no one gets seasick. Oh. There we go. So yeah, the next step is to do a PCB, and I've started doing that. You can take me off full screen now. I'm not going to show you anything else, unless you guys want to see what all that crap is behind me that I worked on today. Is
everything in your house crap? Just
yeah. If we went over there, there's probably 3 things on there with crap written on them.
Okay.
So I'm going to be making the PCB. Turns out I've got a bit of time at the moment, so I can. And I don't know if boards are shipping from China on time or anything like that. So I'll send it off. JLC PCB seem to be the cheapest at the moment, so I'll get something from there. But one thing I wanted to do with it was make it a clock as well as a stopwatch. Problem is, setting the time at the moment involves me manually putting jumpers in. So I need to get yet another breadboard to add to that thing so that I can put some buttons on to set the time easily. Because I can individually clock each one. And I also need to put the reset line in so that I can clear the display when that's needed. So
do you have to clock each digit? Like, do you have to do it through the 1 kilohertz, like hold it down and make it go? Or can you actually
you can clock individual digits, but there is a problem in that. So because I'm using all CMOS, in order to figure out the logic for when 59 minutes becomes 1 hour rather than it becoming 60 seconds, 61, 62, because of just the rollover with the 4026, which is a decade counter to a 7-segment display, I've had to use a quad input AND gate. Now, if you were to start clocking digits ahead, so I could clock the 5 on the 59, I could clock that to a 6 individually, but I couldn't do it if I was clocking up from the 9. So it's possible to get the time wrong, basically, if you're clocking it in yourself. So the idea is that people would do it properly. But currently, it draws about 60 or 70 milliamps with the LEDs on, and with it off, it's I think it's about 1 milliamp at the moment, but that's probably due to the resistors I'm using. Just because the clock does, these things just take microamps to run if you're not pulling any current. So hopefully it should last on batteries for a while, and maybe you could just press a button to see the display. I'm not sure, but it should be a fun one to build. It's going to end up being a bit massive unless I can find some smaller 7-segment displays. Like, can you get micro versions of those, the individual ones? It'd be nice to see if you can find smaller ones, so I can make it a bit more, about the size of that crap clock there. The binary crap clock, which is next to the other crap clock, actually.
I've only seen
0.45
inch ones, I think, or 0.48 inch is the smallest I've seen. Whatever that is in millimeters, I don't know.
I'll see if I can find some interesting ones. I'd rather not go with this stock red. I'd like to find something fun. So yeah, that's pretty much me for what I'm working on at the moment. You would think, though, that with all this time a lot of us have at the moment, I would be working on loads of old projects. I've got boxes and boxes. Is there one over here? Oh, yeah, here's one. So I keep all of my projects in boxes like this. This one, oh, there you go. It's the bloody cricket, right?
The cricket badge.
So, do you remember that? So I've got stacks of these, stacks and stacks and stacks of them. I never completed it. So maybe that'll be something I do while we're all in lockdown. I mean, probably not, honestly. It's just one of those projects that it's just never going to get finished. It was a bad idea when I made it, and it's still a bad idea now.
We've all got those projects. Many of them.
Yeah, but not everyone's got like 100 PCBs of a project that was a bad idea. Yeah, maybe you do.
150.
Cool. Okay, let's go next. Let's go to Mr. Dave Darko.
Okay, that's earlier than I expected, but yeah. So yeah, the last days have been a bit wild. I grabbed everything from the hackerspace that I'm in, a member of, and brought this here to my local hackerspace, to my lab. And yeah, right now I don't really have more time because of that, because I'm still working on Element 14 projects, and that's basically what I did before all that. And I'm just working from home now, so that changed. Yeah, so I'm working on this huge Raspberry Pi 4 base project, and I think the first things that I did to improve, I don't know, there are also NeoPixels in there in the project, and there are servos in there. So I always wanted to have a PCB with an ATtiny on there that just spits out a servo signal like 90 degrees to center it, so you can position your servo and then plug in whatever you want to. Like when you have an ear, you want to center it first and then put the ear on that can turn and whatever. So I made a PCB for that. And then I just copied it, swapped some pins, and then I had also the base for a NeoPixel tester, which is kind of a bad idea to have them the same shape and same size and everything. So yeah, I'm looking forward to accidentally swap the PCBs and then test NeoPixels with my servo tester. But yeah, so maybe a nice case is necessary.
Did you not change the label on them or something? And
yeah, there's another label on it. But when I took screenshots to share them on Twitter, I accidentally took the same. Yeah, I took a screenshot twice of the same board. I was like, "Hey, look, you can't really." Oh, yeah. Yeah, so that's kind of tricky. But yeah, these are 2 of 3 boards that I made this month, and the third one is just a simple Raspberry Pi. Well, it's technically a breakout board for the 5-volt lines, and also ground. And you just put it on the header, and then you have a screw terminal on there. And yeah, if you put them in the wrong way, then it's your fault. But just
No
triple
reverse
check.
protection? Really?
Yeah, there's no MOSFET on there. It's just you have to be aware of what you're doing, which is a bad idea. But yeah, it's a simple PCB. I always wanted to do that because it's always a pain to just wire 2 wires to a Raspberry Pi. Yeah. So the big project that I'm working on, I'm not sure if I can really show it. So I just spoiler it that it's BD1 from Star Wars Fallen Order. Has anyone played that? It's like this companion robot that sits on your shoulder. It's pretty cool robot. And yeah, I'm working on this for 3 months now.
Wow.
And yeah, so I decided to work with Johnny 5JS. That's like a framework for sensors and everything. It's in JS, yeah, JavaScript based. And yeah, I wanted to control the robot with a nunchuck, and the library just didn't work with it. So I had to make my own nunchuck. It's like very crude, and it's put together with boards that I found. I was lucky that I had the RJ45 breakout boards.
That's
so
cool. Let me go.
I'm
Wait,
using
let me go full screen. Sorry. I'm going bigger.
yeah.
Everyone can see it.
So I'm using a network cable for just getting the analog lines and the buttons across to the robot. And yeah, then I basically have a clicker here and a joystick on there.
Are you sending a differential signal?
Sorry?
It's got an IMU on it.
Okay, one more time, please.
Is it got an IMU on it? Like sorry, you're calling it a nunchuck, but it's
Yeah.
nunchuck sort of movement, right?
So it's a very low-key nunchuck. There's no IMU on there because I suspect the I2C is not working over from Fermata with the Raspberry Pi. Like, I'm not sure if this has been tested in a while from Johnny 5. So I just quickly whipped that up instead because I didn't want to go in there and check what's wrong with that. I tested the level converter that I needed for the nunchuck to the Arduino, and everything went fine with the Arduino itself, but it was a problem between the Arduino and the Raspberry Pi. So I was like, I don't want to deal with that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Cool.
And yeah, and there's so much more in there. There's like a little device that is servo activated that shoots things in the air. Like this little battery flies a meter high and then falls back. It's a nunchuck. Nice. Yeah. And there's also a projector in there, and everything is battery powered. So
wow! But you will split this project, or will you release it like one video?
It's supposed to be one video, and
wow, they can't pay you enough for that one.
Too much for the work. That's crazy.
They actually told everyone, like, don't do those big projects anymore, and just make something decent and nice, and that's and so you can go into a bit of detail. And I'm like, I want to make a robot.
Yeah, you are. He's gone. He was gone. What's the name of your new colleague there? He's doing like super crazy complicated projects on Element 14. I think
helicopter remote guy, or
I don't know if I saw the last one, but the one before was like with this telescope, just like tracking, and every time he spits out like one great project each month.
Yeah,
lately. I don't
remember the name right now.
I forgot the name, but he's cool.
Clem should know. Oh, he's leaving. Like I said,
But I'm stunned every single time when I see it. Like, how can you do that so fast?
he's the guy from the current source, right?
I don't know.
Okay, yeah, probably. Oh yeah, I was gone for a second. Okay, sorry. Yeah, so yeah, I don't want to show the robot yet.
Oh.
So
That's a shame.
I'm sorry. I can show a blinking donut. Shitty add-on.
Ooh, cool. Wow.
Yeah, I'm hungry. Don't.
That was a nightmare to place, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, it's all hand soldered. So
How many LEDs?
I think it's 144.
Wow.
Something like that.
You have way too much free time on your hands.
That's
no.
priceless.
Count.
That's
I'm not
crazy.
sure why I did that.
You know this Charlieplex S2C IC thingy?
Yeah, there's I forgot the name of it. It's an
Very
IC.
big and long.
Yeah, it's just this huge.
This is
Where is it? Somewhere I don't know. Yeah, it's
down.
the shitty add-on somewhere between there. Oh, Derek Brodeur. There we go. That's the name of the guy. Yeah.
Okay. So it seems that we might be having some internet issues globally, as there are stacks of people online. So yeah, if things pop in and out or whatever,
It's our stream so popular. Everyone's watching.
We're breaking the internet ourselves. Cool. Okay. Thank you, Dave. That was really cool. Let's jump on to bleeptrack.
All right, then just give me a second to rearrange my screen.
Okay.
So I thought, because it's maybe a bit complicated to explain what I usually do, I might at first show really quick an older project of mine, which is a CNC project. And maybe I first need to get rid of my cat here.
No,
So
don't
sorry.
get rid of your cat.
Sorry. Because then I can just hold that chair into the camera.
Holy shit.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
That's a chair.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's generated, isn't it?
It looks laser cut.
Yeah, exactly. And maybe Seon can full screen my screen. That
Yep.
would be really nice. Perfect. Okay, so because I have a small video there that shows a bit of, I hope it works. It's a small time lapse from that chair. So the pattern you can see is generated by an algorithm that is like a simulation that simulates rain growth in leaves. I think it's also called space colonialization algorithm or something. And I found this in a paper and found this quite interesting and implemented like my own version. And yeah, well, then I grew 2 parts of that chair and cut that out of my CNC machine. Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah, like this is what it looks like now. So the thing is that my CNC machine is maybe a bit crappy. So
Better than mine. I don't have one.
What is the model of your CNC? Is it one of those?
yeah,
open
like it's a self-built one. I think it's quite similar to a Shape Oko maybe, but it's because it's very large. It's really wobbly. Like it has about 1 meter and 20 centimeters width and depth. So it has a really large area. So it's nice for furniture, but it's super wobbly. And if you mill a lot of details, it gets quite problematic. So milling one of these grown parts took me about 5 hours. And the thing is that I didn't realize when you choose a pattern like this, which is very detailed and very branchy, you get a very large surface area. And then you have to sand down the whole surface area by hand because my CNC machine is so crappy. So everything took like a super long time. And what is quite fun is that this chair ended up in a museum for 4 months.
Wow.
And I just recently got it back. So perfect in time to lock down. I can now sit in my milled chair and enjoy the sun.
How strong is it? Can you?
It's quite, so it looks really fragile, but it's quite strong. So it's 21 millimeter plywood. And this is really sturdy. So
Cool.
So
Did
I think for a regular person size, it's really fine to sit.
Do you get
and
marked
I mean,
on
it's
the
very
butt?
low, like it's like a bit like these Asian chairs.
Yeah. What was that,
Actually, I
bitluni?
think I missed the
Just
question.
realised what Luke said.
Okay. Do you get marks on the butt if you're like in the summer? If you don't wear much, then I can imagine you get like nice.
I think I think maybe a bit. I think the pattern is detailed enough that it feels like a whole surface. It's
Oh,
not
yeah,
that bad. But
more
yeah, I think if you sit several hours, you might want to have a pillow below your butt.
That's cool.
So this is
So
so
You
just
said
for,
it was 5 hours.
Yeah, like
Sorry,
one of these branchy parts was 5 hours, so it's like 2 parts is 10 hours, and then maybe another 1 or 2 hours for the feet.
So in the video we saw we saw the router doing it. Do you
Yeah.
have to stand there for 5 hours with the vacuum cleaner going after it? Wow.
The thing is that I'm not at all trusty in my machine, so I always have an eye on it, so it doesn't do weird stuff. And I never really built a vacuum head, so I always just check that everything's fine and vacuum by hand. That's quite okay. But yeah, it was quite exhausting, and I wouldn't do it again, maybe.
So Brian wants to know in the chat what museum it was in.
Museum Ulm. So it's a very, very tiny local museum here in my area.
Okay, cool.
Nothing big. So just to give you a bit of an idea what I usually do, and what I'm so currently doing is this project where I thought it would be nice to get more into PCB stuff, because until now I only built stuff with Arduino, so maybe an ESP, and already only pre-built boards, and I have absolutely no clue about PCBs. And so I asked Timon and Arturo if they might maybe help me in getting into PCB design. And because I do a lot of generator stuff, I thought it would be nice to somehow merge these two interests. And I'm currently working on a small PCB that acts like a keyboard with 3 capacitive touch buttons, basically. And I can't really show any hardware because it's not ready yet. And I think the KiCad schematics are also maybe not that interesting, but Timon suggested me to use the SMD21 as a chip because it has already a built-in like a capacitive touch controller. So I think that should be rather easy to build, and at least I hope so when I get more into KiCad. And yeah, because I want to do generative stuff, I think it would be nice to have some generative PCB art on top of the board. And then I thought about what I could use, like what could the buttons look like, or what could the board look like. And I'm currently writing on this little generator that makes like little planet icons, and the idea is to generate 3 of these little planets and use them as buttons, basically. And then maybe also print some decorative other space stuff on the PCB. It's quite fun, so it's not that detailed yet, but you can like generate some little planets, like stuff that my mouse can't be seen. But yeah, but some are like suns, and others look a bit more like Earth, and others more like maybe Saturn with rings and stuff. And this is what I'm currently coding on. I think it will get more detailed.
Sorry.
And yeah, if you want, I can. It's written in paper.js. That's quite nice. It's a JavaScript library that helps you with graphical stuff, and I can post the code in the chat if people want. And you can play with it yourself a bit.
Awesome. That's really cool.
Yeah, that's basically it.
Nice. Okay. I'm going to leave you till almost last bitluni. So let's go to timonsku.
Sure. What I do? Actually, that's actually collaboration with bitluni. So the first thing I did was also Miller's thing. I'm also a CNC enthusiast, if you can see in the background there. And I milled an IC tray for him, which you can see up there.
Focus.
It's really hard to say because it's all white.
Yeah.
Here. Like a PCB mill. Bantam tools, PCB mill, a lot of HTTP, and used Fusion 360 for the toolpath. And yeah, was supposed to be for his pick and place, but turns out his pick and place software can't use it. So
Or
maybe
bitluni can't use it.
software could support it, but was supposed to include you can place all these little ICs in there, and then the machine just picks them out of the tray. But
I will use it at some point.
That's okay. That's fun. And another thing that I was working on, maybe you can share my screen.
I can.
Should be there, like my desktop.
Nope, can't see your desktop.
Okay.
Oh, there it is. Had to scroll.
Nice. Okay, so a friend of mine recommended me this photo light, and it's nice. It's a nice little photo light, very even lighting, and you can switch between, you can dim between warm and cool light. And I thought it might be fun to mod that. So I wanted to, the first thing I looked into is reprogramming this IC on there, the microcontroller. And I'm going to show you the real bit in a second. There's actually a lot of documentation for this, but turns out that it's an 8051, one of those very old school microcontrollers, and I have no experience with them. And I like hardware projects more than software projects. So I thought I could switch out the microcontroller to something else that can run MicroPython or CircuitPython. And I have this PCB mill here. So I wanted to try to make a kind of flat flex PCB that is flat enough that I can substitute the microcontroller with a smaller one. And you will have a much better idea once I show you that. So I removed the old microcontroller and milled out this little kind of shim. And you can place the smaller microcontroller in the middle here, and then it routes to the power pins of the old one.
When you say you milled that, how much material did you take off? It must have been a tiny amount.
Yeah, this is 0.2 millimeters now. So I took a normal stock, 1.6 millimeter FR1, milled out the circuitry, and then I put it on the other side and then milled away as much material as possible. I couldn't go much further because you can already see it's degrading, because this is not fiberglass, it's some paper resin mush, and going much smaller it would just break up. So I had to stop. Unfortunately, it didn't really work out. I still couldn't bridge it properly. So what I ended up doing is just feed a little bit of wire in here, and to bridge that 0.2 millimeters that I still had to go to reach the new pad. And if you switch back to my normal camera, I can show you the result. Focus. Yeah, there we go. So I had to bridge some more things, but it worked out. Looks a bit messy, but it works. And I now also have USB here. And yeah, it's a SAMD21. So it runs CircuitPython. Now I have technically a CircuitPython controlled photo light, which is kind of fun. I haven't really worked much on the software yet, but turns out that I can switch to my screen again. Sorry for the back and forth. I don't want to power it up in this case, but I accidentally or coincidentally attached the status light of the bootloader to one of the PWM pins. So every time you go into bootloader mode, it flashes in your face that it's currently bootloader mode.
That's really cool.
Kind of nice, but it's feedback. So let's see. I don't know. Maybe you can then add another port, and then you can sync up different photo lights together and do animations in CircuitPython. I don't know. Let's see what comes out of it. But that's my status.
That's really cool. What milling machine have you got? Is that a Bantam Tools?
Yeah, then the background there. That's it was some time ago called the other mill, and we can zoom in more.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
Duck.
Can you
That
see it?
thing
The
is
reflection of the
High
forehead.
on my
It's
list.
really nice. It's now called Bunton Tools PCB milling. No, don't focus on me. Milling machine, and it's super accurate. It looks pretty flimsy because of the plastic casing, but you can do 10 microns on there, even on aluminium.
Yeah, they're
which
really
is
good, my
quite
friends.
impressive.
Cool.
I love that you ducked down for that.
Determined.
Great stuff.
Okay,
Okay.
look, and it's super expensive. This is actually from work. I took it home for home office.
2.5K or something, 3K, something like
3,000
that.
US, yeah.
Sorry?
Wow, it's high on my list. That thing.
It went down. It's now 2.5K now.
Yeah.
Which it's I guess it's still expensive, but I mean, if you worked with CNC machines before, you really enjoy the things they added to make your life easier. I don't really like using it.
Awesome.
So if you have like commercial use for it and like can pay it off a little bit, it makes sense. For
How's
hobby use.
so your tablet's still on hold?
Yeah. Actually, talked to PCB Arts on Twitter today. We might want to look into my issues there. I'm still not very motivated, so I had to do some other stuff in the meantime. But I will get back to it. It's still on, of course.
Cool. Okay. Well, bitluni, let's go.
It's my turn. Okay. Oh, I didn't have a video last month. Yeah, it's Corona time, and it was quite chaotic, but I did quite a lot of work. So since I started, like you guys hooked me like with this PCB design stuff like a year ago or 1.5 years. I started with that thing, and now I'm somehow manufacturer and seller of PCBs, and that's quite a lot of work. So maybe interesting. I tried like assembly service in China that was maker fabs. They are quite cool. They're really easy to work with, and they made like the first batch of my camera programmers that I ordered 200 and they sold in 3 days. And then I have like PCBs. At the same time I ordered PCBs from JHC to pick and place them myself, and got all the parts during the same time. And so that was my motivation to finish finally my light placer, which you can see back there, or if I can switch, maybe. Does it switch? Oh, my HDMI cable fell out. Yes. Okay. Here. So I had like this 10.5 hours stream last Sunday. Most of you like tuned in for a second and tuned out again, since it wasn't very promising at the beginning. And but after 10.5 hours, it actually placed like these VGA boards. We have to take a second. So it's only like 2 capacitors and 3 different resistor values. So not very complicated, but it was quite successful, and I was able to place all of these boards that I had, and that was quite fun. And so this week I continue to optimize this light placer stuff. And since you are working with the component strips, do I switch? I need to switch again? Maybe, yeah, there. So you see there are reels, and the components, the surface mount components, are in like paper or plastic strips. And you have like to, for this pick and place machine, you have to like lay them flat on the table, and the machine will pick this up and continue like along the strip. So first I asked, since I didn't know the software very well, so I asked Timon if he can help me to mill a tray for the parts. So there's like this IC. Maybe I show the programmer. There's like this USB IC on top. Do I have to duck away? Yeah. So the IC, the USB IC in the center, that's shipped like in a tube, and I can't pick and place from a tube. So usually you would have like some fixture that will rattle the ICs out, and it will pick from the same position all the time. But this machine doesn't have that, so I wanted to have a tray. And yeah, since I have like panels with 9 boards on it, I didn't know that the machine, currently the software that I'm using, you can use like OpenPNP and stuff like that, but the original software from that one, which you could modify, it's open source, only supports like all parts in a row. And yeah, the tray we milled doesn't have like 9 parts in a row, so I couldn't use it like that for a complete panel. And I just printed, started to like, I started more complicated. So like printed simply like some plastic parts that I glued on aluminum plate, and that would simply hold down the strips of the components. And maybe I have quite some iterations, but even though there is like the last one is like for the ICs, and even though I've used like 2-component glue, it's even the first time before I was able to use it, they came off, and that was crappy. So I designed like started to design like a simple shape. Okay, focus. So these are all the components that I used for 9 components. So there is like a small tray in the center, and this is simply a slice of 1 centimeters, and I can print on my 3D printer like 25 centimeters. So this, if you extrude this, it's really simple, no moving parts, and I can slide in. Can I show it maybe? Yeah, I can simply slide in here the tape, and it's hold down and works perfectly fine. So this is something I made in 1 day, and it actually worked. And I was able like I started yesterday to optimize a bit more on the machine, and I placed like 5 panels, and that's already 45 CAM programmers that are listed on Tindy already, and the people are buying it. So that was quite cool. But other than that, also quite interesting, I started to design new LED walls, and it's super secret right now. You're hearing this the first time. I'm trying new LEDs with white. So these are RGBW LEDs. And I let them manufacture like parts of the wall in China by PCBWay this time. And they are quite interesting and cool people, and cool to work, since their support is really great. I messed up like during the order. I messed up like several times. I mixed up solder mask with silk screen. I didn't want to have like the silk screen on the top, and I have like put in instructions, if possible, don't use solder mask. And the order was already it was like started with manufacturing, and you couldn't change anything. But the service is quite cool. You have like a representative that's you can talk to them via email, and they actually, it was so much confusion at the end that they sent me a RAR file with the complete production files that they will like put in their machine. So I had like this, I unpacked this production file, and it was Gerber, but it wasn't like typically named, like the file names. But I figured out with like editor that it's Gerber. I renamed the files and loaded it in Gerber viewer, and they actually got it right. So it fixed that. I will get I will get my solder mask, and the silk screen is gone. And I hope that turns out really great, since it's a huge project. And I also started to like use different power supplies. So I want to go from mains to 24 volts, distribute that, and then from 24 to 5 volts, and so on. So I really want to make it like scalable stuff. So there's a lot going on, and I've even tried different diffusers for smaller parts. They don't work. So,
So you're going back to the ping pong balls?
Sorry?
You're going back to the ping pong balls?
Yeah, I have to. Yeah. So I'm working at many different many different projects at a time. So this one is will go with regular ping pong balls like the ones I already used. But I thought, okay, maybe let's try it smaller. So these are like polystyrene balls, but they block the light too much, so I can't use polystyrene. It's like maybe in a dark room you will see, but it will light only like you see only the corona and nothing else from the LEDs. So I try to figure out some other sizes and shapes and stuff, LED stuff. But yeah, next video will be like in a few days about the light laser, the whole progress, how we built it, since Aaron helped me with that. It was like several streams when we started it, and yeah, that's the next one, and that's all I did, I think, the last month.
You haven't slept much, have you?
Yeah, I'm sleeping like quite often. I go like 6 in the morning to bed and get up at 12 or something.
Wow,
I know that cycle.
it's crazy. Okay,
Night owl.
a night owl. Too many night shifts.
Ludi, can I ask a quick question?
Yeah, sure.
Most of the things that you're using to put parts on or use them as a guide, they're all white. Is that because of contrast between the parts so that you can see them, or?
Okay, so yeah, there is a catch. So we have like, there are 3 different types of tapes. So you have like the white ones where you have like capacitors, resistors and stuff, the paper strips. Then you have like clear ones, plastic, and there are black ones that are also plastic. And usually you want to, since that's like optical, like image recognition, it has to recognize the focus. We need that. Come on, yeah. So there are like holes that are spaced 4 millimeters apart, and the diameters, I think it's 2.5, 3, something like that. And it has to locate the holes to pick up the part correctly. And usually you want to have contrast. So the best would be to use like white strip on a black background, or clear is also more or less black, but the black ones you want on white background. And I use now the one that the last tray that I printed is on, maybe you can make it out, it's like a grayish. So this printed like 8.5 hours, the last huge plate, and it's on a gray material, since I wasn't sure. I thought it would be like a middle ground for both, but actually the black ones do problems, since I get also shadows from the holes, and I have to change this. I will print the new tray completely white, and then what I used for the white things, or for the clears, I just took a black marker and drew like a complete line beneath the holes. So that works well, but I don't have a white marker or Tipex or whatever you would use, like white paint to make that work better. So I will print it again from with white filament and use for the white and the clear ones. I will use like my permanent marker below it, so it will be recognized easier.
Yeah, the image recognition part was really the worst of the LabTracer software. It's so simplistic. It's just like contrasty, and then it finds like circles.
Yeah, I would love it to have like you have only the option to set up currently for the type of tape. So you have clear, black, white, and loose components, and you can set up the recognition. So you have like filters, and you stack the filters, so it will recognize the holes. But you can only do it for like the type of tape, and I would like to have it for each strip individually, so I could better tune it for the individual strip, because there's some quite differences. Some black strips are like very reflective, some are matte, so the reflective ones need different settings than the matte ones, and yeah, the lighting seems to also influence it a bit, but yeah, so that's something I need to optimize. And I think with white, so this is a natural PLA, so it's not actual white. I don't know if I have white one, but I will use probably reprint in white or something that I have enough of. I don't think that I have enough of this filament anymore. So I can use like black marker where I need the black background, and that will be white enough. Or I will use red or something. Something completely different.
Yeah, I use red and orange when I'm 3D printing stuff for my pick and place. Just
okay.
There's nothing else.
Can I ask a basic question?
Yeah, sure.
Like, what is a pick and place machine using to take the part up? Is it like a suction cup or?
Yeah, there is like a tip. So maybe I switch again. You can see on the left, like left edge, there is like hole in the, and above the hole there is like the holder. There are like tips, and it uses like vacuum and different tip sizes. Oh yeah, Timon.
Okay.
Timon shows it. Different tip sizes for different components.
Oh, come on.
Okay.
Here, maybe. You have to duck away. Okay, it focuses. So this is like a huge one. Okay. This is the biggest one.
Okay.
So
smaller.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Okay, yeah. So there are different sizes for different sized components, and that's actually a benefit to like cheap AliExpress machines. So there are not many pick and place machines below $2,000 or euros that you can get that actually support like tool change. And yeah, that tool change works really well on that one. So I'm using for the camera programmer, I'm using 3 different sizes.
Yeah, thanks for explaining.
Cool.
Sorry.
Okay, well, I'm last, so I'll quickly just jump through. I'll try to be quick. I have finally finished my. See if I can pull the cable out. That's back to front. Anyway, that's my Whopper, and I finally got my new LED displays. They've arrived, my correct ones this time. My common cathode, not all of the common anode ones that I bought. Which
I've done that before. I've done it several times, I think.
Yeah, let's just. Where to put them? I got a whole tub of common anodes that I can't use, which is really frustrating. Anyway, so my new one arrived, and I have tested every single one of them, and they're all good. And so I'm finally kitting up my Whopper. I finished all the code. I'm about to put that on GitHub, and hopefully sometime this week I will publish the kits on Tindy. I've only got enough for about 20 or about 18 kits at the moment. I've got more parts still coming from China. Obviously, freight in out of China right now is a bit of a problem. So things are taking a really long time to get here. But yeah, I'm finally finished my Whopper, which is great. I also finally finished my, let's see if I can even focus that, my I/O expander boards for my Tiny Pico. And I've been assembling those and kitting those up, which is also exciting because this project's been hanging around like a bad smell. Kept finding reasons not to get it finished. On my, I released a video the other day of my Reflow Master fan controller. Let's see if that'll focus. Maybe not. So this is a MOSFET switch that controls a load. So in my case, fans, but you can make it control anything you want. So I'm designing these to sell with my Reflow Master and my Reflow Master Pro for people that want to switch DC loads that are higher than 5 volts. So this can take up to 24 volts and it's opto-isolated. And I released a video about that last week, end of last week. And you can buy these, as I said in the video, you can buy these on AliExpress and eBay quite cheap, but I just don't know what's on them. You know, half of them, you can't even read what the components are. So I didn't want to trust using those. So I've designed my own that I'm going to sell if people want them. But I need those for myself anyway for my ovens. Been making lots of progress on my Reflow Master Pro. Lots of code. It's all code now. The hardware's done and finished and working. So I've just got a lot of MicroPython still to write. Right now I'm working on the calibration code to be able to run the oven through a whole bunch of tests and then work out what the oven's capabilities are to use that with the Reflow. It's proving quite an interesting challenge. I'm trying to do something much smarter than what I did on my previous Reflow Master, which just checked how quickly it could ramp and how quickly it would drop. So yeah, there's a lot of software challenges I'm working on at the moment. I have a new video coming out end of this week for my Pro S2. This is my second revision Pro S2. This will not be my shipping one though. Is that going to focus?
Full screen.
Oh, well, you can't really see anything on it, but hang on. I'll full screen it, but it's not going to focus. Come on. Focus. I think my focal length's too long. Anyway, so this is using final silicon. Come on. Hang on. There we go. Oh, so this is using final silicon of the ESP32 S2. And I've only got 2 chips at the moment, but I have a whole bunch of chips that have shipped from China. So I will have S2 chips in stock this week, which is exciting. But I'm not releasing these boards yet because I've actually got, where did I put it? I've actually got a newer version of the board, which is here, Pro S2. Oops, upside down.
Ooh, castellated holes.
Castellated edges. And so this board's actually quite a bit longer. Might not be able to see. Oops, get my fingers out the way. There's lots of goodies on this board, lots of new things on this board. So that's exciting, but I can't build it yet because parts I need for it are stuck in Hong Kong. I have a shipment from LCSC that's been sitting stopped in Hong Kong for over a week now, and it's just not moving. I also built this, which I'm not going to actually build. This is a Feather S2. So this is a Feather format ESP32 S2. And I've decided actually not to go ahead with this because Adafruit are making their own anyway, and it doesn't really make a lot of sense having 2 feathers, even though the spec on this board is going to be very different to what they do, some of the features I've put on it. But they've offered to stock this, but I just don't know if it makes any sense making them, so we'll see. So that's exciting, but I've got a video coming out about this end of the week. And And yeah, so stay tuned for that. That's pretty cool. And I've also, yeah, so my other that I've been, see, now I can't focus again. Let me just refocus. My other secret projects that I've been talking about for ages, which is really frustrating. I've been making progress on them, but again, I can't. I've got a whole bunch of PCBs sitting over there, and I can't do anything with them because I've got no parts. Waiting on parts. So yeah, it's been exciting. I've been building a lot of stuff, and my Nano is finally done, which I'm obviously using on. So I'm just going to go back to full screen a second. So that's the. See, will that focus now? No.
Just come closer to the camera.
Okay, so that's my Nano, Tiny Pico Nano. That works great. And so I'm going to make a whole bunch of those for myself anyway, for my Reflow Master Pros, but quite a few people have been asking to buy them. And so I will probably release some of those on my Tindy store or on my Tiny Pico store. So it's basically, it's a full Tiny Pico with PS RAM. It just doesn't have the APA on it, and it doesn't have the USB connector, but it's got all the rest of it on there. So there's charge circuitry, there's the serial UART. It's like a full microcontroller board, but just in encapsulated form. And it's really tiny. It's so if we look difference inside between a oh, can I get them in the same place? No, there you go. There's a Tiny Pico and there's a Nano. And I can
You're
actually
cheating. That's perspective.
Sorry?
That you're cheating. That was perspective.
No, that was. Okay, here we go. Look how much smaller it is.
Yeah.
No, there you go. Whatever. And I can actually get this much smaller. So I went a bit crazy. I'm not going to do it. I'm not doing it. But I sourced a whole bunch of components, which I've got sitting here, which I could probably shrink this down another 15, 20% and make the module even smaller again. But there's no point. It's diminishing returns. Like I'd only be doing it through my own curiosity, but it doesn't make any sense. And the components are more expensive, so I'm not going to do that. The flash chip comes in. There's no flash on that. That's PS RAM. You're talking about? Are you talking about the Feather? So Dishipu was saying that the flash chip. Yeah, so I've got QFN versions of the flash chip. It's a little bit smaller, but they're also more expensive. So it's like with all things, when you're trying to put together a board like the Tiny Pico or the Pro S2, it's a compromise of, you know, how much it's going to cost compared to convenience of the components. The QFN version of the flash chip's about 25% more expensive. So yeah, anyway, so the Pro S2, hopefully, look, I can't decide yet if I'm going to do a crowdfunding campaign, like a crowdsource campaign for this, for the Pro S2. Originally I was thinking I was going to, but I don't know if it's worth trying to run a crowdfunding campaign in the current climate, global climate. If I'm going to wait till we're past the whole pandemic thing, then it might be too late. So yeah, I don't really know what I'm going to do there. So I haven't been looking at chat, so sorry if there's any questions. So that's what I've been working on. Stacks of stuff, like lots of different hardware things, which is really cool, and building stacks of Tiny Picos and stuff. Okay, that's my month. Sorry. I always feel like I waffle on, and I probably do. So
No,
before
We all did.
Sorry?
A question about S2. Do you know when the modules are shipping? The rover and room modules, they're like super delayed right now. And I ordered some from Mauser, but I don't
6
know.
to 8 weeks, they're saying.
6 days.
No, Mauser and DigiKey are quoting 6 to 8 weeks at the moment. So when Espressive announced that they were in production, full production, it was a very, very slow ramp up. Like it's there, yeah.
Elon time.
Also
Sorry?
saying may have
It's Elon time. Elon Musk time.
Elon time, yeah. So someone else was talking then. I don't know who it was.
May 6th of May. They say it's going to ship.
What?
Yeah, but there's not going to be a lot of stock still. So they're still ramping up stock.
Yeah, it was like 500 pieces or so coming in early May.
Yeah, so I ordered 2 reels of S2s, and they're only giving me 300. So that's all they'll give me because there's just not enough. They can't manufacture fast enough at the moment. So
doesn't Brian currently have some and doesn't know what to do with them?
Why not?
So,
It's
Brian,
helpful.
just ship it, Brian. Ship it.
Yeah,
Ship
Brian, it's your opportunity to be helpful.
yeah. Well, I'm not even
You
sure
guys and your beef.
Brian's got though. There's a few different versions floating around, but look, it's very close. And I know there are a lot of people excited about the S2, but you can't do anything with them yet. So that's what a lot of people aren't understanding. I mean, IDF is pre-beta at the moment, and there's not going to be any. People are saying Arduino's close, but Arduino's not close, right? And you know, and until IDF is done, CircuitPython is going to be very early and very rough, you know, because there's not even like they don't even have full USB support yet. It's not even been fully worked out yet. So there's a long way to go. So the rush to get S2 hardware is not going to be beneficial to anyone.
Yeah, except I want like to have like the physical device to design something for it, so I can get some boards and like solder it up and make like images. And it's not like I need to do the software right now, but if I want to use the individual modules, then and I want to design a board for that, I would like to design it now. So there will be shipped like in 3 weeks or whatever.
I thought the hardware specs were available for the modules.
Yeah, the footprints are, but I really want to have it here and solder it and maybe even try the beta software just to see it working. Yeah,
like for instance, currently with the IDF for the S2, like there's no SPI or I2C support. You know what I mean? Like there's chunks of peripheral stuff missing in IDF right now. So even people jumping in that want to play with it early, there's really not a lot you can do with them. So just everyone keep that in mind. So, you know, which is why I'm not stressing out about trying to get the Pro S2 out so quickly, because, you know, other than having one and not being able to use it, like what are people going to do with them? So, but they're working hard on it.
That's what most people do. That's what most people do with microcontrollers, Seon. I've got a whole drawer full of them over there.
Yeah. Okay. Well, if anyone wants to buy a board that you can't do anything with yet, just hit me up. No worries. So like my rush to get silicon is kind of, it's not really needed, right? Like I thought, like I wanted to be first to market with a third-party board.
Do you sell it already on Tindy? Can I order it?
No.
Your S2 board?
Well, that's the thing. I don't want to, like, I haven't decided if I'm going to do a crowdfunding campaign. If I do a crowd supply campaign, I can't release it first, right? So
doesn't matter. I want to buy it now. Please give me the link.
I've got one.
I take it.
And I've got one here that's got no USB support. That's the revision one. Anyway, whatever.
That's the one for Dave.
Okay, one for you, one for David Watts, and I'll have nothing.
I don't need one. I've got plenty.
No, Dave Darko, not David. David.
Oh, Dave Darko, you want one?
Not the CMOS guy.
Okay, cool.
I sometimes program something.
So, look, I've got some questions. I've got two questions. There's not going to be any quiz today, folks, but I've got two questions that I want everyone to answer. But before I do that,
that's it.
I look.
No quiz.
I don't know if people want to. Oh, he's billing. I don't know if people want to talk about how they're doing. I wouldn't mind just having a quick see how quick we can do it. Just go through everyone, and just like how's everyone doing? Like, home isolation. I know that David Watts is maybe not enjoying his isolation as much as other people are. Some people it's affecting more than others. So is everyone good? Is everyone mentally okay?
I'm pretty lonely. I've got to admit, I live on my own. And for like the past just over a week, the advice has been that you don't go and meet friends. So I'm quite a social person, so it really, really sucks.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I've been playing football like 2 or 3 times a week, And now, I mean, for the past 2 or 3 weeks, we've not been doing that. So yeah, it sucks. And you'd think that with all this extra time at home, I would definitely focus on stuff to do in the house. I don't know, like housework or whatever. No, I just find myself just sitting thinking, this sucks. Just that's all it is. And I'm working from home. So basically I'm just here all the time, and that's rubbish. I go out for my 1 bit of exercise a day, as we all probably are doing. And I just sit here. Right. So in real life, I'm a videographer, photographer. And so I can't really do that from home. It's pretty difficult. I can do video editing at home and some other digital things and web stuff. But I just sit here looking at my email inbox, and that's it. That's like my life at the moment. But then the thing is, I live in a house and I have a very small, crappy garden. And there are other people in this world with definitely worse situations who are having to deal with a lockdown situation. So I'm not complaining, but I am lonely, I have to admit. Even digital interaction is not the same as being in the same room or same place as somebody. So yeah, I'm feeling that at the moment.
Yeah.
Okay. So I didn't want to my intent wasn't to bring anyone down with this conversation. I just want to know.
It's a wrong question for that, I guess.
No, well, I just it's affecting everyone differently. Arturo was just saying in the chat that it's no different for him. Like for me, I work from home anyway, like I always have. So it doesn't feel much different for me, other than my kids are here all the time and they're going stir crazy. So trying to, keep them occupied is an extra challenge. Like we have no respite when the kids are at school, where we get a bit of downtime. There's just no downtime, right? But so it's affecting us all differently.
Right.
So that's why I'm asking. Anyone else want to share? You don't have to.
Yeah, maybe I can. So currently, Currently, it's like okay for me, but I don't live alone. I'm sitting in my basement as always. So my girlfriend is also working from home usually, so nothing changes for her as well. Just like the situation with like going shopping or something. She's very stressed. I'm not. But the beginning of March was really crazy, since we've been in a quite infected area at the time, but it wasn't like super serious at that time. And then we both got sick, and we came back to Germany, and she had to travel for work, like to Cyprus. And she was like, one day after she arrived, she was stuck in the hotel under quarantine for 2 weeks, and all flights were canceled during that time. So really the shit hit the fan back then. And I went testing, since I still had like cough and stuff like that. But it took them for 1 week until I got the results, and it was negative. So thankfully. But she was like stuck for 2 weeks in a hotel where she couldn't leave the room, and she went almost crazy there, and she didn't know how to come back. And since she had a flight that was like within the first week, and then that was canceled, and every fallback flight was canceled after that, and then was like this crazy stuff where German government brought back all the people from the that were somewhere on vacation or abroad, and it was like third day in or fourth day until from when they started this when she somehow booked on a charter with like another group. It was like somehow organized, and it was really crazy. Like in the middle of the night, after the quarantine for her was finished, she jumped like in a bus with the other people and went straight to the airplane. They got in the airplane. It was like the Turkish side of Cyprus, and they got like to Antalya or Ankara. I don't know which one of these, and then like only a stop without leaving the plane, and then back to Germany. And she went to another city than Frankfurt. It was Dresden. And had to come back with the plane. And the craziest stuff was when this started with this quarantine, she didn't know what to do. And then I told her, yeah, just call the embassy in Nicosia. That's on Cyprus, the only embassy, the German embassy, but it's on the Greece side and they told her they are not responsible. And there was no person you could ask what to do next. You were stuck like in a foreign country, and she didn't know if and how she would come back. So this was quite a stressful time. But now that she's back, it's like for us, it's at least we have like a huge garden. It's getting warmer right now, so we are not affected anymore. And but the beginning of the March was really crazy. So.
Yeah, I'm glad she made it back. That must have been tough, getting stuck for more than 14 days in the hotel room by yourself.
It was like isolation. It was like she was alone there and she couldn't leave the room, and she just got like the meals just in front of the door, and that was all. And she had a small balcony, but it was the north side, and it was cold the whole 2 weeks. It was like freezing 2 weeks. 2 weeks long in this isolated room, so it's even worse than like in prison.
Well, they use that in prison as a punishment, right?
As a punishment, yeah.
It's illegal in Germany.
But at least she had like a laptop and internet and Netflix.
Sure. Anyone else want to?
Yeah, maybe I can tell a bit about my situation. So I think on the private side, I'm pretty lucky because I'm living in a very small village in the countryside, have a large garden, sun is shining, everything's quite fine. But the problem I'm currently facing is that we are giving a making lecture at university, and it started last semester. And every student got like a small introduction about, I don't know, electronics and 3D printing and stuff. And then the next semester, like the summer semester, they should make their own project. And now the university is closed. And now we're like gotten the task to make your lecture remote. I'm not sure how we should do this currently. So maybe if you have ideas on, I don't know, outsourcing 3D printing or laser cutting, I don't know. Because like the students, they often don't even have their own soldering iron. So basically they have nothing at home. And currently we are thinking about like packing them small kits so that they have basic supplies at least at home, so they can fiddle a bit with an Arduino maybe. Because all the other stuff would usually be at university and we would guide them through using the machines. This is all not possible now. It's a bit hard to do.
Yeah, I was actually talking to someone the other day, and like, I think some really positive things are going to come out of this in general. I think it's forcing so many people and industries to completely rethink just conventions that we've been stuck with as a society for so long, like in terms of how companies work, how the workforce happens, how, the whole working from home thing, or how do people actually do their jobs remotely. Like, it's really forcing some out-of-the-box thinking and problem solving. And I'm hoping that as a positive, those things that we come up with are going to be things that stay. Like, I'm really worried that when all this is over, because it will be over at some point, right? When all this is over, that everyone's going to go back to business as usual, how it was. Like, I don't want that to happen. I don't want, like everything that we learn from this and everything that we can, all the ways we're adapting, I want those things to stay. You know what I mean? I want things to be better in the future. So,
I think this will change society. This is not something that just fades away. This is a big thing. I think we're not realizing it right now, maybe, but when the months pass, this will affect society and how we how we live.
Sure.
And I hope for
more about the conventions. I'm talking about the like it's taking something like this to make corporations, for instance, rethink how they run their businesses, and I think in a lot of ways that's potentially for the better. I think that
they are always bailed out, so why should they change?
Well, they have to change right now. They have no choice, right?
Yeah.
So the question is, will they keep with these new conventions?
I see the positive sides. That I see is that quite often companies are like forcing people to come to work, even though they could do their work remotely, and that's quite annoying. So we have like a huge push to the digital era. So I think afterwards more people will work from home, like home office, at least one day a week or two, or however. So they will be more open, since now the employers are like forced to do that, and they will see, oh, actually he did more work than when he's in the workspace chatting with his colleagues. So
that's what I'm hoping. Like I'm hoping that.
Yeah. So I see lots of positive changes.
That's
maybe
something social that you maybe need as a human being. I really miss being at the Exine Hack space and working from there. Maybe we can put an end to this topic, but I want to share something like stupidly positive that I really like about this is there's a bowling hall like right out of my window, and they always had big parties and on the weekends, and now they don't, and I really like it. And I'm sorry, but I really hope that they're not gonna open up again because it's very quiet now.
That's mean.
It's very mean.
Okay, so I have got, unless anyone else wants to share anything.
Well, I will just say this. Do you know Microsoft Teams? It's like it's now this big thing that everyone's using for meetings and stuff. Yeah. Well, I think it's great. It's just like using this, but this is better for just having little meetings. But we had our first departmental meeting in Microsoft Teams. Now there's about 80, 90 people in my department. It was the funniest thing. So there were people like not muting their microphones, and they'd pop up. Sorry, I'm almost crying because I find it so funny. People like just like making a noise, coughing, and suddenly they're up on the screen, and the director's like trying to talk to everyone. It was so good, and people like just started pissing about after a while because we all started about 5 minutes early. So everyone's got super comfortable in this area, pissing about, and then the director comes in and everyone's like scrambling to not be a dick, and all of the chat is full of memes and stuff and gifs. It was so good. God, it's actually making my eyes water because I thought it was so funny. Sorry, I was thinking about it when Dave was saying that we should change the subject. I thought I just had to tell you. Those absolutely have to stay. We don't all need to gather in one room, but we can definitely post memes to each other. Sorry, carry on.
Sure. Okay. So I've got 2 questions for everyone to answer.
I thought that was one.
No, it's 2 questions. So the first question is, and I'll go first, right? But the first question is, what skill set don't you have that you would like to have? Like what like pick one skill set that you'd like to learn, and what is it? And the other question is, what tool don't you have that you would like to own, like that you'd like to have? So one is a skill, and one is a tool. That makes sense. So like for me, my the skill I'd like to learn is I'd like to learn how to weld. Right, probably TIG welding. I don't know. Apparently TIG welding is the easiest to learn. I don't know. Bitluni makes it look really hard, but or dangerous. So I'd like to learn how to weld. I don't have a particular purpose for it, but I think it'd be a really good skill to learn. And for me, the tool that I would love to own that I don't have is a mill, like a CNC mill. I think that that like I've got my laser cutter, which means I can laser cut, but I can only do things on a 2D plane. And I've got my 3D printer, so I can build things up, but it's layered. So again, everything's kind of like it's 3D, but it's still plane based. I'd like to be able to like mill things in more dimensions. So they're my two things: TIG welding for a skill and CNC for a tool. Okay, bitluni.
Okay, the skill that I would love to have is play piano. So I think that's quite hard to learn when you're 40 like I am. So there are some things that are hardwired if you learn it in a young age. And that's something I would like to have. All other stuff I think I can still learn somehow. And the tool is actually also a CNC. So the Bantam mill there, that one would be a good start to fast prototype PCBs, but like a sized mill would be also fine, and after that maybe a laser cutter. But CNC is the first tool that I'd like to have.
Okay, bleeptrack.
Oh, hard questions. I think the skill that would really interest me to learn one day is forging. I think I ever wanted to forge my own knife maybe sometime. I think that sounds quite fun. And as a tool, it's quite hard because I think I have a lot of access to nice tools in our hack space. But what I recently I really want to try it is this new Shaper CNC thing. What's it called? Shaper Origin or something? That CNC machine, or like that top routed CNC machine that you can pull by hand. That it looks so awesome, but I'm not sure if it's really working that good as it shows in the videos. But I think that would be really nice because the huge CNC machine takes a lot of room away in our house, and I think the small Shaper thing is really nice for small spaces, and you can easily take it outside and don't have all the dust and stuff in your rooms.
The Shaper Origin looks really cool. It does, and all of the examples you see of people using it, what they do with it, looks fantastic. But the question is how many fails do you get compared to good results? But
I think Fran's got one of those.
Yeah, Fran has one. Yeah,
she was using it she was designing part of I don't know, I might be wrong here, but the space shuttle door or something like that, some NASA thing. It was probably not space shuttle. I referenced before that, but yeah, it looked really good. But you should jump over and have a look at her video because it's not a marketing video, so it'll look real.
Yeah, I'll check it out. Cool.
Mr. Dave Darko.
Yeah, so I always wanted to learn how to sew on a sewing machine. That's like probably a good addition to, I don't know, 3D printed things and stuff like that. And recently I kind of wanted to have a lathe for metal stuff, like making your own bolts that have also a winding at the end, or maybe just nothing and just a little winding, stuff like that, or bigger things out of aluminium. I don't know.
Okay, cool. Timonsku?
I want to learn sewing for like a long time now. I have a sewing machine, but I don't know, I'm really crap at it. But I want to learn more about it because it's a really powerful thing to know, sewing, like proper sewing. Tool to own, I'm not really sure. I don't... Actually a mill, because that is not mine, that's the work one, and it will go back at one point. But having it here is such a nice thing because I mill so much stuff. It would save a lot of time. Like I don't have to stay at work to like mill stuff for me. I can just do it whenever. Especially for like circuit design, this is really powerful. But other things that I don't really have, I really wanted to have something big that can cut wood, like a chopping saw or something like that. I don't really have the space here, and it's really loud. So in an apartment building, it's kind of hard. But like, something to like do proper woodworking with would be nice to have.
Okay, cool. And Mr. Watts?
Well, I was still listening to everyone. I mean, I'd love to do all of those things. Like the music comes to mind immediately. Like, wouldn't it be great to be able to play an instrument, any instrument? I mean, the kazoo. Actually, I've got one here. I mean, as it happens, I do happen to have a kazoo. I quite like them. But I have a guitar, an acoustic guitar. I can do like 5 chords and that's it. But I'm rubbish. It takes a while. You have to let the calluses build up on your fingertips. I'm getting off topic.
Like, how long's a while? How many years have you had it?
What, the guitar?
Yeah.
Maybe 8 years.
Wow.
It's mainly decorative. I don't even play it anymore. It just sits nicely in the living room and that's it. The skill, there's like things like being able to draw would be great. But I think telling stories is where I'd love that skill to magically appear. Being able to write like a book, maybe. That would be incredible. Being able to like craft it from like the base idea to creating complex characters and like, I don't know, narrative flair and stuff. That would be incredible. And sort of on that note, I don't know why I said note, it's about writing. But I would, as a tool, there's this, is it around here? Right, there it is. So I use this thingy. Is that upside down? No. Which is like this LCD writing tablet. And I use it for lists and I scrub stuff off. So I don't have to use paper. Now, I don't know, the ecological impact of this, I've no idea, but there's this thing called the Remarkable tablet. And I really want the Remarkable 2. It's e-paper. Yeah, e-paper tablet. And I've wanted the first version for ages, but it's so expensive for what it is. And so, yeah, I want the second version because I just think it would be inspiring to have. I don't know whether that would, because I want to be able to write. I thought it would be really cool just to be able to write stuff down. Anyway, whatever. That's it. I want it because it's trendy, not really because of any other reason.
That's a cool tool.
I can really recommend the e-paper. I can really recommend the e-paper display tablets from Books. I think it's a Chinese. Chinese company. They do very similar devices, but they run Android, and it's quite nice.
Have you tried them?
Yes, I own one. I said, I don't have it here with me, but I have one that is 8 inches in the display size. So it's quite convenient for me for university work. And I think it was about 300 euros, so not that expensive. That was quite fun.
Okay. Does it have a pen with it or?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And how is that like quite reactive? Does it have a?
Yeah, it's really reactive. So yeah, like I don't use it for drawing because I prefer something with more color depth than an e-ink display for drawing digitally. But it's great for writing. I do all my note taking with this device now. I'll just
make a note of that.
What was the company name again?
Books, like Boox, and then they have several different devices, and mine is called Nova Pro, but I think they recently released the Nova 2. It's a very similar device, I think, with better hardware specs.
Sweet.
Awesome. How much is the Remarkable 2?
Oh, I think it's about £400.
Right. It does look good, I gotta say. So, but I don't like writing. I hate writing. I'd rather type.
Oh, I love writing. I absolutely love it.
Writing's too slow for me. Like I think faster than I write, and so therefore I feel like I'm slowing myself down. I don't know. Also,
I remember if I write something down, I remember it. But if I type something out, I won't remember it. So something about writing means it gets in my memory. So that's why I like doing lists. I could name everything on that list, I think, apart from the stuff I've crossed out.
Right. Okay, cool. Okay, it's interesting. So a lot of sewing.
Yeah, but get a good sewing machine. The cheap ones, you won't have any fun with them. They always like tangle all the. That's really crappy. You don't have any fun with those. I have like 2. I had like 2 different ones, and both were not so fun.
Yeah, I wasn't
The
so
automatic tensioning systems, like what's it? Automatic yarn tensioning in sewing machines is really nice to have, because if you need to fiddle around it every time you take a different fabric, that's quite painful.
Yeah, and there's some like really where you load like the yarn, the lower yarn. They're like super easy loading systems, and there's like this old one where you have like put the yarn around and place it in, and then you start and it entangles like, and you have like a total mess, and you don't know how. It's like one of my sewing machines just stopped, and every time I try, it tangles. Like I don't know what's wrong with it. I can't find the error. It's like really frustrating with the cheap ones. So at least like get one used or something, or spend 300 euros or dollars or how much. That's the starting point. Not the cheap ones for $70 from Aldi. They won't work well.
Yeah, mine. I got like memories when I was young. Like, my mum had sewing machines and overlocking machines, and she used to do like stacks of sewing and make clothes and, you know, fix our clothes and stuff. And so, yeah, I got a lot of fond memories of hearing the sewing machine going, or the, you know.
Did you try?
Sorry?
Did you try?
Yeah, I think I did some basic sewing stuff together. You know, just didn't make anything particular. I wanted to learn when I was, you know, when I was young. But yeah, it's interesting that I, you know, obviously moved out of home and haven't seen a sewing machine since. You know, it's been a long time, and so yeah.
I think my mum had one of those Singer ones where you.
Oh yeah.
The Singer sewing machines. She had one of those where you literally do this and you're feeding the stuff in down there.
Yeah, my grandma has some foot propelled one where it's like the foot pedal.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's quite rewarding skill to learn, since you can simply clone cloth that you like the super simple pants out of like what's the fabric? Fleece. Yeah, so super cheap like fleece pants. You take the pants that fit you the best and turn them on the left side and simply draw the outline and just sew along the seams, and you have ready pants in like 1 hour or something. It's really easy stuff. Or t-shirts are very easy to make.
Yeah, I remember my mum used to go to we have a chain of stores here called Spotlight, which are fabric, you know, haberdashery stores, and you know, she used to constantly look through all the patterns, and she'd come home and clean the dining room table off, and she'd be laying out fabric all over the dining room table with patterns and, you know, marking and tracing and cutting and whatever. And it was just yeah, like seemed like so much effort. Like back when you're young, you think, just go to the shop and buy it. Like, why buy the clothes? Why are you making it? Like, you know, because you've got no concept of the making part of it, right? But yeah, it's crazy. Like this conversation's brought back a lot of memories that I'd forgotten. So it was good.
Yeah, my mum used to knit as well, patterns from magazines. Like, she made us some. I don't know whether Super Ted, the cartoon, is familiar to anybody here, and maybe it's not. But I had a Super Ted jumper. This isn't it. I don't know why I'm pointing at this. But yeah, she matching ones for me and my brother. Oh well.
Ooh.
Yeah, that was great.
I had a Knight Rider hoodie once.
Oh, nice.
That's a childhood memory right there. Cool. Yeah, my sister had it too. I really need to find the picture now of us. Yeah. We were sitting on a Jeep, and it was like not so. Yeah, it was. I think it was our first time in the West Germany parts. I don't know.
Why is there a guitar?
Yeah, cape is easy to make.
Yeah, it's cool. Okay, so is there just random anything anyone wants to talk about? Anyone wants to bring up any? I mean, obviously there are no events coming up that people are going to.
All maker fairs are cancelled.
Everything's
Supercons are cancelled. Everything is cancelled.
Yeah.
And people are asking Maker Faire Hanover if we will go there. We will if it happens.
Yeah.
When is Hanover supposed to be?
I don't
September.
know. September. Yeah.
It
Yeah.
could happen. I mean,
So we'll see.
I mean, a lot of conferences have been pushed back, but it's still. I think people are really hesitant to book anything in now and to try to, because no one knows what's going on. Did everyone manage to get all their refunds from all their flights or accommodation?
I still have the flight to Belgrade.
yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Like I'm eligible for a refund, but they're not responding.
It's still May. Maybe there's a chance we can go there and have a vacation.
No. I mean, if they cancel the flights, then you get your money back anyway. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think they will cancel it in last week or maybe 2 weeks before.
Yeah, I know that because I came from the games industry, and there was supposed to be the game developer conference in the US a couple of weeks ago, and everyone had to obviously cancel. They shut it down, and there was massive fights because like the Hilton and Rialto, like pretty much every hotel in San Francisco gets completely booked out for the game developers conference, and none of the hotels would refund anyone's money. And the rates of the hotels during GDC, Game Developer Conference, it's massive. They mark it up 300% for everyone because people don't have a choice. And I don't know what the end results are. They're like people have been, groups of people have been getting together, harassing the different hotels to try to get their money back. But I think so far none of the hotels will give it back, which is really disappointing to hear. When you've got so many other companies, internet companies are giving free internet, and phone companies are giving free phone, and even banks are, stop charging interest and stuff for people, but all these hotels won't give refunds. So it's a bit disappointing. James said that he didn't have a problem getting a refund. Okay, interesting. Maybe things progressed there, but yeah. It was a shame to hear. Okay.
Dave Darko, what is it about this virtual maker fair? What is this?
Yeah.
Is this still a secret project?
So I had the idea that we could maybe just everyone could film themselves with their favorite projects in front of a desk, and then just talk about their projects, and then we do maybe an interactive part where we ask questions about them, and then just the first idea, and then everyone can join in. You just have to use the same intro, and then we'll link everything in a playlist or something like that. Yeah, this is something I was thinking about the last days. Not sure
so it's open to everyone. Yeah, we just make it. Yeah, we just do a template, an opening and closing template that people use. And then,
I mean, we obviously should make a start and maybe set a date for everyone to post something, but I don't know. Have a deadline like this is the release date. This is when the Maker Faire should have happened. So why don't we post everyone? Yeah, why don't we post then?
Would you do it over a weekend? So you'd give people like the Saturday, Sunday to post, Friday, Saturday, Sunday to post the video.
Yeah, we could also schedule it. Like every one of us gets a time slot, and then the video gets
So is someone going to run with this? You're gonna take charge of this, Dave?
Yeah, if I whenever I finish the robot, then I'll work on it. There are some YouTubers in our group, and we definitely can find some more if we announce it on Twitter.
Yeah, okay.
He has all the connections, so we're gonna get some bigger people as well, hopefully.
Yeah, bitluni's he's the guy. He's the connected guy.
He's the bait.
No,
At least
I'm an introvert. I just don't show it. I don't like to talk to people.
To some bigger channels, like the
As
one.
my girlfriend, I really avoid phoning and stuff like that. I really hate it.
I'm the same.
Or going to the doctor. It's
Yeah.
The doctor.
I'm the same. I had to, yeah. So, yeah. I really know what you're saying, but we'll talk about this.
okay.
I'm going to prepare a sentence for you to send out to someone.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
We'll manage.
Dave will write it. You just send it, Bitluni. You'll be good.
Okay.
And then say at the bottom,
Don't
forward any questions to Dave Darko.
Don't expect their much more success than if you would send it.
Cool. So, does anyone in chat have any questions? If you do, for anyone here, please at their name and ask away. Otherwise, I think we might be coming close to the end of this stream. So Michael wants to know, Mr. Watts, if you have a pet.
No, I don't have a pet. I've always wanted a dog because I love dogs, but it would be irresponsible. Well, actually, right now would be perfect time, but irresponsible of me to get a dog and then go to work every day and leave it here locked in
Maybe
the
a
house.
hamster.
No.
Start with a hamster.
I used to have one. She was called Claudia, the hamster. I didn't call her Claudia. We got it off another family who realized they didn't want it. Anyway, Claudia was lovely. She'd like run around and we were evil children, I think, maybe. But Claudia, what am I saying? Could I get arrested? No, probably not. So Claudia would be on my bed, and I'd sort of get the covers like this and just pull them apart like that, and she'd just sort of jump a little bit and land back down. And I thought it was really cool. And she wouldn't run away or anything, so I just assumed she'd enjoyed it. Anyway, it was great having a hamster. Why am I talking about this? It's probably that one beer that I've had now.
The best story.
She used to stuff stuff in her cheeks, and she was like that, like huge.
Wait.
You want a screenshot?
Do it again.
No. It would be like out here, all the way back here. They'd like store it really far back. So anyway, Claudia was great. Had her for a couple of years, and then I realized I'd not seen her for a bit, like maybe a week. And I'd been putting food out, but she'd not been taking it. So she had a little house that we'd got for her. Opened up, she was in there just like this.
Oh.
On her back, she was dead. But then later on, and we buried her in the front garden. I had a stone that we literally painted Claudia on as the gravestone. Someone then later told me, when I was a lot older, that hamsters can go into some kind of hibernation state where they go rock solid and don't move. So it's entirely possible we buried Claudia alive.
Yeah, but
hopefully not.
They only live like 2 years, don't they?
Yeah, so she's probably at the end of her life. But
yeah.
I don't want another one of them. She did stink. They do smell because they wee in their house, don't they? And poo in there. So, yeah, but a dog would be great.
Okay. Anyone else here have pets?
Or killed one? I killed a guinea pig.
First to kill one, right? So, no pets. No, okay. So, any other questions from the audience from chat? I've not seen any.
How can I prove that my background is real? People don't believe me. It's weird.
Rotate your camera, and if the perspective changes, we know it's real.
I don't think they will believe this, but yeah. Woo.
Oh, nice camera tracking.
Look.
There's no perspective change. It's fake.
Is this sphere map?
What was that?
I can neither deny or...
It's a sphere map or environment box.
So you were saying before, Dave, that like, why are people commenting in your background? Because it's not new; it's the same you've always had. I don't think we've ever seen that angle before. That's all. Like we've seen from the other way where your desk. We've seen what the wall on. Whoops. No.
It's always been there. It's probably just more light on here because I turned the UChat light here to the side, so you probably just see more from there. And then there's also green light and the red light.
It was always facing the sticker wall.
Yeah, sticker wall. Yeah, we've seen lots of angles, just not that angle.
Like,
I don't think.
Where is Ben Heck sticker? We can't see it anymore. So it's a different angle.
So streaming from right there, then.
Yeah.
I think I sat here with Alex when I was with Alex on the show here.
Oh.
But
okay.
and there was just me and Alex in the view. So yeah, never mind.
Okay. So could be a skybox, James said. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So I want to ask how many days in this last week? So like it's Monday for me, but I think it's Sunday still for everyone else. How many days last week did you not get dressed? As in, did you stay in your pajamas? How many days?
6 or 7.
What? Really? Okay. I did 3 days.
Not once.
Leave the house at the moment, so.
Like 6 or 7 is a whole week. Okay.
Actual pajamas, I think it was only 2, but other than that, I only wear like super comfy clothes, or that's no difference to pajamas, I think.
Right, but it's the act of actually getting changed is what I'm talking about. Like, it doesn't matter what you're wearing, but,
Okay,
Okay, I wear different clothes than I sleep in. That I do.
Yeah, okay. Sure.
Yeah.
I've got quite a few zeros.
Time.
Wow. How are you making yourself, for those in the chat that are saying 0, Dustin said 8. How for those that are saying 0, how are you making yourself like get up and
They are naked.
Yes.
Like, I'm talking about for those that aren't leaving the house. Like I know some people are still going to work or whatever, but for those that are staying home.
I get up at the normal time that I get up for work. Well, give or take 15 minutes. I get up, have a shower, get dressed, have a coffee every morning. I haven't, apart from one day where I woke up at 8:45, which is the time that I'm meant to start work and log on. And then I just logged into my emails. I hope my boss isn't watching this. Logged into my emails and then just went and had a shower and had a coffee and got dressed. So every day I don't really sleep in anything, so I can't go just walking about in that. So yeah, I haven't done one day of slobbing about.
So are you doing that
even at the weekend?
You're doing it to keep a routine?
Yes, mainly.
Right, okay.
Routine, yeah.
Okay.
Because otherwise, wow.
Suit up.
Yeah, suit up, exactly.
Okay.
What's everyone saying in the chat then? Is that why they're doing it?
It's fairly mixed. Like people are saying that routine is vital for a home office.
Brian says it's called being a grown up. Oh, that's pretty harsh.
And those emails aren't going to read themselves. Yeah. Okay. I mean, it's funny because like there are days where I can't remember what day of the week it is, right? Where I have to really concentrate to think how many days have passed, because every day is just the same. It's like Groundhog Day, right? But like before this, I'd never spend the day in my pajamas, right? I mean, I don't wear pajamas either, but you know what I mean? Like I've never not actively got up first thing, had a shower and got dressed and whatever. But in the last couple of weeks, I found it'd be like 6 o'clock at night. And I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, like I didn't even jump in the shower this morning. Like, it's that whole, unawareness of what's happening around. That's all. And so I've never experienced that before until this last couple of weeks. So that's why I was curious.
Was that question 2? Hang on, I might have got confused about.
What?
What?
Give us more questions.
Yeah, I just remember you saying there were 2 questions, and I've completely lost count. And what's that?
That's
What are we
number
wearing in bed?
was.
Was
It
the
was
other question.
The skill and the
question
tool.
number 3.
Skill and the tool, David. Wow. Grab another beer.
One's enough
Okay.
for going back to work tomorrow.
Okay, so wants to know, Arturo wants to know, do you shower first thing in the morning or last thing at night? I'm a
I
morning
shower-
shower.
Yeah, I'm a morning
Morning.
shower. I didn't know there was a last thing at night thing.
Evening.
Some people like to go clean into the bed. I don't know. I'm a morning shower myself, but yeah, I noticed that the people exist.
Timon, you said evening, didn't you?
I do
Yeah.
it in the middle of the day.
It's not. I hate mornings, so doing anything in the morning sucks.
Oh, right, okay. Because you make your bed dirty. Well, sure. But
But you sweat at night. So
Yeah.
That's wrong.
yeah, I need to shower in the morning. It wakes me up. Like it's that whole, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I put wax in my hair. So basically, if I go to bed with it in, not that you can really take it out without showering, then my hair's like all the way, like parted up the side of my face. I reckon everyone here has that you have to basically shower or have good hairstyling somehow.
Oh yeah, that's the problem. If I shower before going to bed, when I wake up and my head is like I have a huge afro that's like leaning sideways, or that's crazy. So I always shower like in the middle of the day when I just know it's the time to do it, or when I leave the house or something.
You shower when you leave the house or before you leave the house?
Before.
Okay. Okay. Well, we're not talking about sleeping naked. That's no.
Yeah,
Okay.
I do it.
Do you know what? I haven't worn any deodorant at all since I started working from home. Because I'm just not doing anything. I'm not particularly sweating or smelling.
That's an English thing. Can I say that's a UK thing? Like when I lived in the UK, I could not believe how many people didn't wear deodorant.
I wear deodorant every day, but I'm not going out. I'm not meeting anyone that can smell me. So it's only me, isn't it?
You can smell yourself. Like, okay.
Just doesn't smell of anything.
Okay. No. Like, no deodorant and not doing your teeth. Those two things, they just they're
No, but it's fine to be in your pajamas all day.
Teeth are important, but deodorant is.
and,
Why wear deodorant if you don't smell?
so what was that? So the audio's a bit cut up.
I mean, why wear deodorant if you don't smell? I'm with David. I find it.
Okay.
It's like,
Yeah.
teeth is important. You should do that, even if you don't see people. But
Sure. Yeah, I shouldn't judge. I don't know. It's what I do. Like I put deodorant on. I
Smell
like to
good.
do without thinking. So okay. Sorry if I offended you, Mr. Watts.
You didn't offend me. It's all right.
I just remember, like, I had a so I knew. Yeah. Anyway, someone I knew in the UK who refused to wear deodorant. Like, didn't believe in deodorant, and so they would take an extra shirt or two to work every day, and 2 times a day they would go into the men's room, take the shirt off, wash their underarms, put their new shirt on, and go back into the office and continue working. And that's how they didn't, like, try to not smell, and it didn't work.
Yeah.
And it's, but they were convinced that it did. They just didn't want to use deodorant, didn't want to put chemicals on their body. And
yeah,
clearly they couldn't smell themselves like other people around them could smell them. That's all.
So one thing that's more common in here in Germany, as maybe I know, is like to shave, like men that they shave. I shave as well, so I smell less. But in the US, no man shaves. Like, if you watch the movies, every man is like super, like
a perm. a perm under the country. Yeah.
So that differs also from culture to culture. I'm not sure how common that is actually in Germany, but I do, and most of my friends shave as well. So.
I do too.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
How are the Brits?
I'm fairly sure most men, the majority of men, don't.
Yeah.
But I'm now look, I've got not much to do, so I'm going to give it a go.
Yeah.
It might
Just
be
like a
tricky
razor,
at the
normal
beginning,
face
but-
razor. Just a normal face razor will do it, will it?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
All
I
right.
have like a super.
I will
dull
report
one.
back and let you know.
I use like a super dull one, so I won't cut myself.
Next
But I'm
doing
MakerCast
it.
update from David Watts.
Do you get itchy when it grows back? Like, is it?
Oh,
Oh,
Timon, the battery.
No, I don't. It's like really soft, so I don't get. But I'm not like a super. I don't have like super much beard or something, so
Yeah.
that's like. I don't know. Maybe that's different for other people.
Okay. Hey, Timon. Good to see you.
Excuse my camera doesn't last for 2 hours.
Okay. Cool. Okay. Well, I think the conversation's really gone down.
Yeah,
the
awkward. It's awkward. We should.
Yeah. Personal hygiene is a topic we probably shouldn't have. started
Maybe
off.
you cut this part out, and we simply do it like what was the last good topic? Like we.
The intro.
There was a big pause between that already. We just have to pause for a second
Okay.
and then go with the end.
Cool. Okay. Well, let's round this up. Thank you all for being on the stream, and thank you to everyone in the chat. Does anyone have any final words they want to impart on the community?
Stay creative, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah.
Copyright strike. Thanks for that one. Okay. Yeah, I hope everyone stays safe and keeps doing the isolation thing, and we'll get past this as soon as we can. Everyone, just hope everyone keeps finding time to make stuff and be creative. I mean, I think it's important from a staying sane point of view, I think. I think we all need to start sending Mr. David Watts messages.
Oh.
No, I'm all right. Really, I'm okay.
All right? No?
I just miss real people. That's all.
I send you.
Not us.
Does the postal service still work? Like, are you still
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. We'll have to start sending David postcards and stuff.
Nah,
Physical.
you don't need to do that.
No. Okay.
No, I'm all right. I am.
He says with a twitch. Yeah.
Yeah, I just miss my best mate.
Oh.
Okay.
We'll get through this.
Yeah. We should leave it there. Okay. Bye, everyone. Thank you for joining.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Cool. See you all next time.
See you next time. Bye.
Bye.